And finally, the last section of part 1 in the Nietzsche-Thus book Zarathustra, we're going to be doing section 22, which is on the gift-giving virtue. This is set up and is put in 3 sections. This section is, and the gift-giving virtue is kind of Nietzsche going against what he calls sick selfishness, and being one who is the giving person and does go against selfishness and does kind of outpour his own self towards others. Verily I have found you out, my disciples, you strive as I do for the gift-giving virtue, what you would have in common with cats and wolves. This is your thirst to become sacrifices and gifts yourselves, and that is why you thirst to pile up all the riches in your soul. You force all things to and into yourself that they may flow back out of your well as the gifts of your love. That's the best way of characterizing what I said before I started reading this. Verily such a gift-giving love must approach all values as a robber, but whole and holy I call this selfishness. The selfishness of the sick selfishness. With the eyes of a thief it looks at everything splendid. With the greed of hunger it sizes up those who have much to eat, and it always sneaks around the table of those who give. Tell me, my brothers, what do we consider bad and worst of all? Is it not degeneration? And it is degeneration that we always infer where the gift-giving soul is lacking. But we shudder at the degenerate sense, which says everything for me. Watch for every hour, my brothers, in which your spirit wants to speak in parables. There lies the origin of your virtue. When your heart flows broad and full like a river, a blessing and a danger to those living near, there is the origin of your virtue. When you are above praise and blame, and your will wants to command all things like a lover's will, there is the origin of your virtue. When you despise the agreeable in the soft bed and cannot bed yourself far enough from the soft, there is the origin of your virtue. So, as similarly and yet differently with the Bible, Nietzsche does have an element in this work that kind of hints at a selflessness rather than a selfishness. And to have a gift-giving virtue where the virtuosity of your heart can outpour towards others. And the Bible does say that you should be like a vessel with which God's light can be shed on others. So there's some sort of parallels here, which if I said that and some atheists saw this, we would highly disagree with that claim. Remain faithful to the earth, my brothers, with the power of your virtue. Let your gift-giving love and your knowledge serve the meaning of the earth. So meaning comes from such a gift-giving virtue. Lead back to the earth the virtue that flew away, as I do, back to the body, back to life, that it may give the earth a meaning, a human meaning. And like I said in a different video, this parallels humanism, but yet it isn't, because this goes beyond humanism. Let your spirit and virtue serve the sense of the earth, my brothers, and let the value of all things be posited newly by you. For that shall you be fighters, for that shall you be creators. There are 1,000 paths that have never yet been trodden, 1,000 healths and hidden isles of life. Every now, man and man's earth are unexhausted and undiscovered. That's the Overman itself right there. That the Overman, to achieve the Overman is to be a creator in yourself, to go above any potentialities that you could be as a man. You are overcoming man itself. There are 1,000 paths that have never yet been trodden, 1,000 healths and hidden isles of life. Man's earth are unexhausted and undiscovered. So you might think that there's not much left to be created, but there are endless possibilities, endless things to be discovered and found out and created, that only if one would overcome man himself. One repays a teacher badly if one always remains nothing but a pupil. Okay, first off, at the beginning of this section, they give Zarathustra, they give him a gold staff that has like a sun which has a serpent around it. And it's like a gift, basically, and he's going to leave them. After saying all these things to them, he's gonna, after coming down from the mountain and saying all these things, he's gonna leave. So, one repays a teacher badly if one always remains nothing but a pupil. So, let's say Heidegger never wrote Being in Time, and always was a follower of Husserl, and always was a pupil of Husserl, and kept, parading Husserl's work after Husserl died. Being in Time is an amazing work, and you would never, if Heidegger had remained a pupil, this would not exist. This amazing piece of work would not exist. Now I bid you lose me and find yourselves, and only when you have all denied me will I return to you. Then he will goes under bless himself for being one who goes over and beyond, and the sun of his knowledge will stand at high noon for him. The dead are all gods, now we want the overman to live. On that great noon, let this be our last will. So, he's going to leave. Zarathustra is going to leave. And, pretty much what's going to happen is that he wants them to apply what he has taught them. Apply that to their life and to overcome man themselves, overcome himself, overcome oneself, basically. He wants them to become something amazing and do something with what he has taught them. And basically that's kind of, I think, this last section is like a good summing up of everything that has happened in this part, and has really kind of shown what Nietzsche is saying, and kind of shown what he is arguing for man to do. So this is almost like a manual for your life. For Christians, this is a manual for your life. This is the Bible. For Christians, this is a manual for your life. It's an owner's manual. However, if you don't abide in that, if you don't agree with that kind of acknowledging a divinity above you, then this is also a life manual for people who don't want to read that or abide in that. So if I wasn't a Christian, I would live by this. I would understand that there are possibilities within me that if I try to overcome myself, can I achieve those things? If I overcome the humanness that I am, I can achieve those things that I can't even possibly conceive of. The paths that are untrodden. And the Bible has a similar parallel to this, that God goes above and beyond what you could dare to ask him, and the path that God has for you and the things that God has in store for you are above and beyond anything that you can conceive. So this book and this book have parallels, interesting parallels, and that kind of interests me how these two things have parallels. This being a Christian religious book, and this is the entire opposite. That's an interesting thing. So either way, if you think I should have included something else in this section, let me know below. And then we'll start the part 2, the second part.